Hello, welcome back to another Sunday case study, another Sunday hand analysis. I'm quite liking this little formula I've knocked up now. So every Sunday I'll do a little palm reading of someone I may or may not know. I prefer to do readings for people I don't know. Otherwise, what I do know about that person kind of blurs in with what the information I'm receiving in the person's palm. It doesn't really work. So and every week I'll look at a new palm and go over what I got wrong and right over last week's palm, over last week's reading. So this week we've got a chap here emailed me wanting to know about his wealth and any information relating to the lifeline. And this person emailed me, found my email address through Quora, which is like a social media site for people who want to know random bits of information and facts and things. I answer questions on there, specifically on palmistry, trying to fight that ever-growing wave of that massive misinformation and mythology surrounding palmistry and hand analysis. Quora is like a kind of site for, I don't know, massively arrogant and pompous know-it-alls, which is why I'm on it. So there we go. So this person emailed me through there. So I'm going to dive right into this after I talk about last week's reading, which was this person's palm here. Now, unlike the last few case studies, I do know this person a little bit. I know them to some degree. And so they actually asked me in person. I took this picture myself so that I could do a palm reading for them. I don't really like doing readings for people that I know because I might have already said that I don't. It sort of blurs in with the information I'm receiving on the palm, blurs in with what I already know about them. So, but I will say that this person does want to move abroad. And I wouldn't normally say, well, yes, you are going to travel, unless I was certain. I am certain in this case because of how deep these travel lines are. How deep these restless lines are. And this is lunar, this place of imagination. It's an idea. It's a strong idea. It's linked to the lifeline, and that's quite far away. And so these signs are quite strong. The plans are already in place. So, I know that these things are actually, it's going to happen. And the other thing they wanted to know was whether or not they were a good person. I mean, I already sort of knew they were a good person, but I wanted to go over how that was visible through, the information presented on their palm. And I feel like I did that. So it's not really a fair kind of test as to whether or not, I got things wrong or right. There are a couple of specifics which I don't know about yet because I've yet to talk to them, like whether or not they were hospitalized as a child from around the age of, I can't remember what I said, maybe about 6 or 7. So yeah, there we go. Sorry to disappoint if I'm not, if I haven't revealed, what you wanted to hear there, but there we go. It's a bit of a one-off. Never mind. Moving on. So when I upload this palm reading for this person, I'll email them and ask them, what I got wrong and right and what they thought of that reading, and I will reveal what they've said if they would like me to. So, I think one thing I really should mention before moving on is palmistry is, it's a healing practice because it's about guidance. So there's this element of counselling to it. So all the best palmists really have that counselling experience, or they are psychologists or psychiatrists or in that sort of field. I mean, if you're not, I'm not. I'm I'm just an amateur, really. But it certainly helps to be empathetic and to try and find solutions to the problems identified, and just be sensitive to things that crop up. So, as in the case of last week, not last week, the week before, with case study 2, which was all about sexual health. I mean, I have no idea who this person is. They could be dead by now, for all I know. If I was reading this person's palm in real life, I'd be very sensitive with how I dealt with the information. I would have picked up on a bit more if I'd read this person's palm in person. It's quite difficult trying to sometimes weigh up the good and bad. Sometimes when I read a person's palm, all I can see is the bad, and it's really difficult to end on a positive note. But I just wanted to sort of mention that it's really important to, if you are pursuing this field of palmistry and you want to learn more and be a palmist, it's extremely important to be conscious of how you're coming across, and just be kind. People come to you for guidance, so you need to know how to do that. And so I'm forever trying to learn more about how to do that better, without coming across as a complete jerk, which is not easy. Anyway, right, enough rambling. So wealth in palmistry is displayed actually on all 3 of the major palmar lines. So that would be the lifeline, the headline, so there's the life, there's the head, and the heart line. Really, I should do it from that way onwards. There are several ways to determine, to sort of pinpoint that, to define, to pull that information out of these lines. But the best ways to determine, let's just go over wealth first of all, is through the career line and the sun line, if a person has a sun line, or even a career line. Sometimes people don't have either, and yet they do have a job and they do have wealth. So how is that possible? Well, if a person doesn't have a success line, and this person does, but it is quite faint, it stems from the heart line. If a person doesn't have a success line, which is always on the Apollo mount, and the Apollo being the sun in a person's life, the light, the enjoyment, the happiness, security that it brings them, is often tied in with financial success or stability. And that's because anybody who is stable, has that structure and that security, then also is, has that ability to be happy. If you can provide for your family, well, it's going to make you happy, and that's all, we really go to work for, isn't it? To pay the bills, to put food on the plate, to be happy, to have that a little extra aside to go on holiday and do whatever. But if you don't have a sun line, you can still have money. If you don't have a sun line and you do have money, it means that money doesn't bring you happiness. And sometimes you can have a sun line and have no money. And these are people that actually money doesn't matter so much to them. And people who are homeless often have 3, maybe even 4 simultaneous sun lines, and that's because they receive money and happiness from different sources. So, if you're asking for money on the street, then money is coming from lots of different angles. You're always searching for it. So that's kind of what that's about. It's sort of that that energy, if you like, isn't focused like a one singular line. It's scattered, and there's this constant sort of search that's splayed out. And so it does come, because obviously, you can't survive without it in some way. But I find those people particularly interesting who have no money yet have a really strong sun line, and they're often people who, want to have a sun line that starts from the headline or even before, and they're not particularly wealthy. They're often people who just love a good laugh. They just smile all the time. They see the positive in everything. And I've seen this before. So this person, they do have a sun line. It stems from the heart line, which is symbolic of someone who, firstly, their wealth begins at the age of around 53. But what I mean by that is that their ability to relax a bit more whilst the income is coming in a way that's stable. When you might be doing that, all through your life. It might be a stable income your whole life, but if you're paying off a mortgage, well, you're only one or two paychecks away from instability. So often by the age of around 53, I see this a lot, a sun line gets stronger, and a sun line that stems from the heart line, it's around that age 53, and it's also it represents success through support of a loved one, because it's coming from this heart line. So it's often a partner that helps with this. So whenever I see this, I look for a marriage line that coincides at that same at that same age. It's not really possible to see with this palm print here, because this picture, it's not a very clear picture. So there we go. Now, what I find interesting is you've got the career line, and as I've said, the career line is one way to look at wealth. So a career line that's deep, relatively straight, and what I mean by that is not, waving around, as this one is. This is a nice arch, it's a nice curve. I find it particularly interesting because you've got this restless line here, you've got two of them, and that's where the career begins. So I would, if I had to guess, it's possible this person moved when they were very young and began their career in another country. I'm not sure if they will stay in that country though. I think they might come home. And in places, this career line is quite strong. It's strong there, and it's strong there. So to look for a career line that represents someone who is being paid well, I would look for one that's deep. Look for one that's relatively straight, or at least not wavy. I'd look for one that isn't patchy in places. This one has a bit of a patch here. So a person who works really, really hard, well, let me do this the other way around. A person who has a job, who has always worked, but yet doesn't have a very strong career line. It's just, you can't see it, or it's incredibly faint. That's my dog snoring, by the way. I'm not sure you can hear that. It represents the person isn't enjoying the job. They're not getting paid enough, or they don't feel that they're the effort they're putting in is equates in the wages they're receiving. So this person did feel that they were getting paid a decent wage early on in their life. They wanted a career that has an audience of some variety, which is a very vague analysis. Any career line that comes from the lunar mount like this is a person that has a career with some sort of audience, and that could be, there's so many jobs that you could give an example with that. This being the right hand, it's what they've made of it, so I'm not necessarily sure that's what they wanted. But it's interesting because you've got a career that climbs up here, and you've got this, what looks like a second career line here joining it, joining from not a break, it's an overlap in the lifeline. So I'm guessing this person, this is interesting, was in some sort of family business, and then running alongside that, pursued a hobby, wanted to turn that into a career, and ended up doing that. And then at some point, I would say early 20s, 23 perhaps, there was a moment of, and actually I think that started a bit earlier, perhaps about 16, 17, right up to the age of about 30, let's say. There's a moment of difficulty here. This is an island here that's formed from the life and the headline. It's quite a long period of difficulty, and joining that is this moment of anger. It comes from Mars negative, and you can kind of see it's quite a pitted moment, and stemming from that moment of anger, it's like this realization, it's an epiphany, because from that moment this person claims their independence. So I'm guessing that this whole family business thing, if I'm getting that right, they didn't, there was a disagreement with the parent, and they decided to go their own way perhaps and claim their independence from fairly early on, maybe 1918, no, maybe early, just early 20s. That bit there, I'm going to say that's early 20s. I know I'm being quite vague, but it's particularly difficult to pinpoint events on, in a timeline on the lifeline, especially when you're not looking at the palm in person, because what I want to do is actually look at the side of the palm here, look at the entirety of the lifeline, and take several pictures, clear pictures, go back to the drawing board and scale it up, and I've got a formula to do that. So otherwise, if I can't do that, which I can't here, I'll just throw a random, well, it's not a random number, I'll throw out a bit of a guesstimation. So I'm going to say early 20s, and from that period onwards, you can see here there's a square that's created from that time. So as I say, this island here corresponds with this square here, because from that age right up to 30-ish, maybe early 30s, 32, 33. Let's go with 33, right up to 53. So it's not a very clear square. So actually, from this person, from the late teens right up to the age of 53, this person is going to struggle in terms of their career, and that might be because of this decision that was made when they were quite young. Sorry, that was a mistake. This decision when they were quite young. However, it might not have been a bad idea at all. Excuse me. So the reason why I say that is because the success does come to them in the end, and it does stem from this choice. So it's all linked. And they may not have reaped that. They may not have become happy in the end anyway. And why do we pay the bills in the first place? Why do we do anything? And also, I think what's interesting here is the headline. When it gets to this age here, the headline begins to changes angle slightly right here. And that corresponds with 53 as well. And a headline that kind of begins to droop down like this is someone who's thinking less about money. A headline that begins to take a turn. So this is Mars positive. Some people's headline, flicks up at the end like this here. Well, this headline is moving away from that. So when this person reaches this age, they no longer have to concentrate on earning money so much anymore. And that's an indication that they will begin to become more stable, more secure, or they just stop caring so much about money, which is a good thing. Because really, money, it's important, but what does it matter if our health is no good, or if our loved ones aren't healthy? So another thing I want to mention here, this normally when I look at a palm, I look at the overall shape, the fingers, the finger leanings. Check out this thumb. Look at it. What a bend. That's a very adaptable person. This person's probably may suffer with some joint issues, may suffer with some, may possibly suffer with some reproductive issues. Possibly. Because often a thumb this sort of flexible is associated with reproductive issues, with joint issues. And I was looking at this reset here because there is a bit of an arch here going on. And there is some grilling, not too much. But a person with this kind of bent thumb like this is someone who's very adaptable. And that ties in with this possible move when they were young, with this drastic change in lifestyle. And also a person with this sort of thumb is someone who is very brilliant in short sprints, if you like. They can get their head down, get a lot done very quickly, but then they begin to sort of tire out, and they need to kind of take a break away from it. All right, so this person has some eyesight issues. We've got an island here under Apollo. And so let's I'm sidetracking here a little bit. Some more information regarding the lifeline. I do see quite a few interferences from this region. And this is the family ring. So again, I think there are obstacles for this person up until the age of around 33 relating to family. And they don't succeed in stopping this person living their life, but there are points of difficulty and a few of them are family related, the majority. So after, this is 30. So this is this being the career line, and where it meets the headline is roughly 35, and then where it meets the heart line is, as I say, 53, and that's actually a success line, and the career line then continues on here, and you can see it doubling up here. It's very faint from here onwards, at least in this image, which kind of contradicts what I've determined. So I'm not entirely certain if wealth becomes as important to this person. I mean, maybe they make a good amount of money and they don't have to continue working from 53 onwards. Maybe that's what happens here. So that's a little bit of a mystery. It doesn't help that this image isn't very clear, but I can see a slight doubling up here. Normally when you see the career line towards the end of a person's career doubling up like that, you've got two jobs or a hobby alongside a job, which is quite nice because it means that person has the time to do that, or it's a hobby they'd like to turn into a career, and maybe they actually manage to pull that off. So I think that's about all for this week. I hope you've enjoyed this week's reading. I mean, there are some other things going on here, but I don't think they're relevant to this person and what they okay. A bit of a gap here, and this line coming down here. So I'm guessing this person was quite angry with their dad. This decision here was related to the father. Anyway, yes, that's disappointment. So there we go. I'm going to leave it there because I'm in danger of just sidetracking and rambling. So I hope you've found this interesting, and as always, next week I will reveal what I got wrong, what I got right, and thanks for watching. Please subscribe and like and share, and see you next time.